like live and stuff.
Live from the church basement, it's the Northwoods Assembly Bible Study with PB&G, where you miss a little, you miss a lot. Everyone for joining us tonight. Got your coffee ready, Bibles. Okay, we are still, surprise, in the book of 2 Samuel. So, Gary's going to open us with a prayer.
Yes.
And we'll get going. Oh, a little update. According to the weatherman, Saturday is going to be in the 90s or something like that. So we're going to move our work day on Saturday. We're going to keep it on Saturday. We're just going to let people know that we're going to try to do stuff in the morning if possible.
From midnight to 3?
In the morning, before it gets too hot, and then we'll send y'all home and we can all meet back at the church for night. You out there in the middle of the day, baking in the sun, because we're going to be doing outside work. We're going to have you come earlier and work when it's cooler. We'll get done what we can get done, and then we'll go home, clean up, and come back for service. So that's the plan.
Bacon, they could do it in the basement here.
They could?
Instead of doing it outside.
Outside? Yeah, you're a funny guy. Thanks for bringing your A game.
Just trying to help.
Okay. All right. All right. Going to open us with prayer, and we'll get started.
God, tonight, bless this study, this place, and this opportunity to get into your word. God, just help us to see the meaning behind it, see your hand, your personality, your care for us, God. And tonight, I want to take just a second to pray for Jim as he goes in for another procedure, and for Mike and Joyce as they're and the rest of their families are going through all these things with him. Just strengthen them, God. Heal them and help them to be strengthened through this and endure this and just persevere and come through with a praise report, Lord. And just we'll bless you for it. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. All right. Thanks for that, Gary.
Sure.
Okay. 2 Samuel, I believe we are in chapter 16. Is that right?
I concur.
All right. 2 Samuel. Is that New Testament?
Yeah, it's right after maps. Yeah.
After maps. Okay. There it is. 2 Samuel 16. Kabam.
Liam.
All right. All righty.
When we left off, we're going to start in verse 15. When we left off, Absalom had just had David out of Jerusalem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There was all kinds of, if you go back and either read the text, watch the previous Bible studies, which, by the way, best place to do that is probably Facebook or YouTube. Just search for Northwoods Assembly. You'll find us. Facebook, we should pop up. YouTube, we should pop. If you go to YouTube, just go to our YouTube channel, Northwoods Assembly. Northwoods Assembly.
That's where we are?
That's where we are.
Okay.
And click on the live link and show you don't miss anything. So, a lot of scheming and plotting has been going on, and it's really been kind of interesting to see what's going on. So we'll pick where we left off.
All right. In verse 15. There you go. Okay. Absalom and all the people, the men of Israel, entered Jerusalem, and Ahithophel with him. And now it came about when Hushai the Archite, David's friend, came to Absalom. Hushai said, "Long live the king." Okay, just briefly, Absalom's, because he's the one that had the little king. Ahithophel, if it hurts, I fell. That would be really cool. But anyway, Ahithophel was David's chief counselor, and everybody thought he was just about the wisest man in Israel, and he went with Absalom.
Yes.
Hushai the Archite was
Hushai the Archite.
Yeah, it's just like an Eric Clapton song.
Yeah.
He was going to go with David, but David had him go back and said, "See what you can do to, gain intelligence, stymie the advice of Ahithophel. See what you can do." And it's interesting. what Hushai says when he gets here to Absalom. I'll just read another verse or two. And then,
Verse 17.
yeah, he says, long live the king, long live the king. Absalom said to Hushai, is this your loyalty to your friend? Why do you not go with your friend? He's talking about David.
Right. He's saying, why are you saying long live the king to me when I know you're my dad's bestie?
Yeah.
Right.
And then Hushai said to Absalom, no, for whom the Lord, this people and all the men of Israel have chosen, his will I be, and with him will I remain. Besides, whom should I serve? Should I not serve in the presence of his son? And have I served in your father's presence? As I have served in your father's presence, so I will be in your presence. What he does, though, is he uses all these things that he says, but he never specifically says you.
He never pledges his allegiance to Absalom.
No.
He says all these things that sound like he did. Things like
long live
by
the king.
these and all the men of Israel, his I will be, and I will remain with him.
Yeah.
Furthermore, whom should I serve?
Yeah.
Well,
so is he talking about Absalom
or
is he talking about
David?
David?
Yes, it's kind of wide open. Sounds the kind of stuff in previous chapters. If you haven't watched it or you haven't read it, when you're going through this, these guys are really. It's.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this would be such a good series on TV or something. This is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, he just kind of walks along, goes that up, and here. So yeah, it was pretty.
Keep going.
That gives a little bit of a hint of the cleverness that this guy has. Just what he does right there. So then verse 20. Then Absalom said to Ahithophel, "Give your advice. What shall we do?" And Ahithophel said to Absalom, "Go into your father's concubines, who he has left to keep you to keep the house. Then all Israel will hear that you have made yourself odious to your father. The hands of all who are with you will be strengthened." So they pitched a tent for Absalom on the roof, and Absalom went into his father's concubines in the sight of all Israel. The advice of Ahithophel, which he gave in those days, was as if one inquired of the word of God. So was all the advice of Ahithophel regarded by both David and Absalom. Well,
so
actually,
this is getting a little not safe for work right here.
Yeah.
What his advice is, go sleep with all your dad's wives. The one he left, because he left some concubines back here to run the palace while he's on the run. So what you need to do is just sleep with them. That way it'll really separate you and your dad, because he'll hate your guts now. And all the people of Israel will see it. We'll put a big tent up on the roof, and you can say, "Hey, this is the big tent where I'm taking dad's wives to sleep with them," kind of a thing. And they can all look up there and say, "Oh, what's he doing in that tent? You know what he's doing in that tent." And all of those who are with David, they'll just it'll kind of strengthen the camp of Absalom, because it's like, yes, now he's separated himself. This is 100%. He's the man. He's the king. He's got the concubines now. And that's kind of what's going on.
Yeah. And
this is a serious daddy issue thing.
Well,
happening
it is.
Here.
And as odd as it sounds to us, by sleeping with the king's concubine, you actually kind of made a claim on the throne.
Yes,
I mean,
correct.
To us, that's it's kind of a weird, I mean, that doesn't compute, but that's true. And if we remember back to chapter 12, when after David and Bathsheba, where David slept with another man's wife, on that very roof where Absalom is now sleeping with David's wives.
Yeah, it's a of what happened.
Yeah. What after he said, "For the surprise, your wife, thus says the Lord, raise up from your own household. Will even take your wives before your eyes and give them to your companion. He will lie with your wives in broad daylight. Indeed, you did it secretly, but I will do this thing before all Israel and under the sun."
And that's exactly what is happening. Who sang the song "Cats in the Cradle"? Is that Cat Stevens?
Yeah.
No, was it?
Yeah.
Okay, because there's that line in there. My boy is just like me.
Chapin.
Cherry Chapin.
Chapin. I think it was Chapin. Yeah.
But yeah, be careful, or your son's going to turn out just like you, David.
Yeah.
He could have turned out like you with the good things because you were pretty awesome. You got a lot of good characteristics.
Yeah.
But instead, your son paid close attention to all the stories and all your history and decided he was going to be like this side of you, this part of Dad. And he is.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And
not
so as
good.
weird as all those, it actually fulfills what God said would happen, which sounded pretty weird at the time.
Yeah.
And for Ahithophel, I mean, I don't know, this is your great counsel. It seems kind of out there, you know?
Yeah.
I have a great idea.
Yeah, you're now the king and you can do anything you want. So here's my first idea.
Yeah.
Not like, let's do something, get an army, do this for the people, economic policy, military policy. Nope.
Yeah.
That's weird.
So there's that. Yeah.
All right. Okay. let's move on, shall we? I think
Okay.
I think this is clear enough without making it any clearer. You know what I'm saying?
You want to explain anymore?
Nope.
You know? Okay.
Nope. I think they get the drift.
Chapter 17, verse 1. Furthermore, Ahithophel.
Did you take a blow to the head, Gary? You're lisping.
I had a Hithy fit.
A hithy fit.
Ahithophel said to Absalom, "Please let me choose 12,000 men that I may arise and pursue David tonight. I will come upon him while he's weary and exhausted and terrify him so that all the people who are with him will flee. Then I will strike down the king alone and bring back all the people to you. The return of every one depends on the man you seek. Then all the people will be at peace." So the plan pleased Absalom and all the elders of Israel.
So what's his plan again?
Well, and this is the very thing that David mentions. I think it was the chapter before the last, is we need to get out of here. Otherwise, they'll come upon us while we're fatigued and spread out and not ready for them. And that's what Ahithophel says. Hey, we got to strike while the iron's hot. Let's get him.
Well, Ahithophel was one of David's advisors, so he knows how David fought. He knows what David would do. He knows what works, and he's telling his son, "This is how you win it. You give me a whole bunch of soldiers. We chase David right now. He's on the run. He's tired. He's scared. He's probably not focused. We'll go. We'll get him when all of the people with him see us, because he's taken all the people. There's this whole caravan. We talked about that last week. This refugee caravan that has moved out with the ark, following David out of the city. They're going to see us. They're going to take off because they're not soldiers.
No,
they're the population of the city.
Well, yeah.
They're going to take off. We kill David, and then all the people will be yours.
Yeah.
Absalom.
David had
all
his,
be
600 men with him, and then the rest was just
Yep.
whoever.
Yep.
So if he took
good
12,000 men and overcame,
Don't give him a chance to settle in and make a plan. Let's get him now while he's on the run.
It's very much a good plan. It's just good advice.
Yes, it was. So what happens?
So then in verse 5, then Absalom said, "Now call Hushai the Archite also, and let us hear what he has to say."
Okay, now Hushai is the guy who's loyal to David, who David sent back to Absalom to say, pretend you're his advisor and let me know what's going on inside the war room.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when Hushai had come to Absalom, Absalom said to him, "Ahithophel has spoken thus. Shall we carry out his plan? If not, you speak." So like, well, you think this is a good idea? And if not, tell me what is a good idea.
Yep.
It's important to remember in this. I mean, Absalom might have been, a pretender. He might have had his chariot and he rode around, and he had, his beautiful hair and all that stuff. But he'd never been in battle. He'd never made these kind of decisions. He'd never been a general. He'd never looked at these counselors and said, "Okay, what's a good battle plan?" And then he didn't know for sure who he could trust. Is this guy the guy I should trust? Or is this guy? I mean, he's in an unfamiliar spot right here.
Right. So he's got one piece of good advice. Now he's going to get another piece of what he assumes is good advice, and then he'll have to decide
which is which.
Right. Or if they're both the same, then, and if they're different, then pick.
Right.
But again, yes, David's been doing this kind of stuff since he was old enough to, throw rocks at giants. So, but Absalom, he's a little bit of a trust fund kid. who kind of wants daddy's company.
Yeah. Well, and
So-
that's the thing is people want, I want power, I want respect, I want authority, but they don't
You don't know
realize
what to do with it.
This is authority. Authority is making the hard decision. It's
Yeah.
just doing the hard thing.
Yep.
That's authority.
Yeah.
It's not look at me, I'm great, bow to me. It's okay, I'm going to be responsible if this don't work out.
Well, it's only worth what you've put into it.
Yeah.
David put his whole life into it. Absalom has put nothing into it. It's always been there for him because his dad made it for him, God and his dad. And now he thinks this is just mine and I can take it without any effort whatsoever.
Mhm.
So anyway, so here's Hushai
Hushai.
giving some advice.
So Hushai in verse 7 said to Absalom, this time the advice that Ahithophel has given is not good. Moreover, Hushai said, you know your father and his men. They're mighty men and they're fierce like a bear robbed of her cubs in the field. And your father's an expert in warfare and he will not spend the night with the people. Behold, he has now hidden himself in one of the caves or in another place. And it will be when he falls on them at the first attack that whoever hears it will say, there's been a slaughter among the people who follow Absalom. And even the one who is valiant, whose heart is like the heart of a lion, will completely lose heart. For all Israel knows that your father is a mighty man, and those who are with him are valiant men. But I counsel that all Israel be surely gathered to you, from Dan even to Beersheba, as the sand that's by the sea in abundance, and that you personally go into battle. So we shall come to him in one of the places where he can be found, and we will fall on him as the dew falls on the ground. And of him and all the men who are with him, not even one will be left. If he withdraws into a city, then all Israel shall bring ropes to that city and will drag it into the valley until not even a small stone is found there. Then Absalom and all the men of Israel said, the counsel of Hushai the Archite is better than the counsel of Ahithophel.
He's thinking that's a better plan. Well, that was nice though, because Absalom knows his dad.
Yeah.
And he knows his dad. Again, the legends they sing around the campfires are stories about David and
Yeah.
what an amazing warrior he is.
Mhm.
He has been a superior fighter. I mean, from day one. That's his skill set.
Yeah.
He is a general and a warrior.
Mhm.
Yes.
And what Hushai does is it's masterful here. He uses David's reputation to put a little bit of fear into Absalom. He makes he preys on the fact that Absalom is afraid to lose.
Yeah, and he knows his dad is really good at this.
Mhm.
He knows what Hushai says is true. Your dad's going to be scheming and plotting right now as we speak. He's got a plan. Don't think he doesn't. You know he does.
Yeah.
And then he starts thinking, oh, I bet he does.
And he knows that David is standing over there by the river right now, waiting to hear what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And if these 12,000 men come, David's going to be in trouble. He's going to be backed up against the river.
Yeah.
So what he's doing here is buying David time to fully get away, get set up, get ready to meet Absalom when he does come.
Yep. Because again, David's a better general.
Mhm.
And if he has some time, he can do this thing. He can win it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the fact that he does get that time is all due to this guy right here.
All right. See, and why are there not more boys named Hushai?
See?
Right?
Yeah.
It's a good, solid name.
At
He's a
least
good guy.
you could middle name Archite,
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ahithophel I can see. Sounds like
Yeah.
Lithbing. But
Yeah.
still.
I fell and
Yeah.
it hit. And it hit when yeah.
And then you have King David.
Yeah.
David.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So we'll start in verse 14 again. Then Absalom and all the men of Israel said, the counsel of Hushai the Archite is better than the counsel of Ahithophel. For the Lord had ordained to thwart the good counsel of Ahithophel, so that the Lord might bring calamity on Absalom.
So this is, again, we talked about this Saturday night upstairs. With all these generals and all this stuff going on and all these people in power and all this advice and all this stuff being thrown back and forth, who is still in charge of everything that's happening here?
God is.
God is. Over all of this palace intrigue, all this scheming, plotting, planning, power plays here and there, conniving, over all of that, there is still God who directs all of it.
as much as we have our will and we do what we want to do, things like what happened with the 10 concubines, things as outlandish as that, for Absalom to do something like that is just completely warped and hard to understand.
Yeah.
But the fact that God said something like that was going to happen and then it happened just shows how much God sees.
Yeah. There is nothing that has happened, is happening, or will happen that God hasn't already seen. Everything in the future that we haven't lived or seen yet, God already has.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he wrote about it. He writes the ending. You know, the book of Revelation hasn't happened yet, and God tells us exactly how it's going to play out. He's already seen it.
Mm-hmm.
He already knows the ending. He gives it to us. He tells us. So he doesn't. So why would we not think he wouldn't know this and be able to, you know, again, steer everything, even the things we don't see as good or things that we don't understand, we think are horrible. And God's like, no, you got to trust me. I'm steering all of this for all of your best interest. For everyone who believes in me, this is going to work out for all of you.
Mm-hmm.
Just, I know it seems crazy.
Yeah.
But hang on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a really probably particularly strange way to look at it, but this is the
Well,
way
not coming from you.
This is the way I see it, kind of. If you ever played
this is how G sees it.
for you that can't see it, Gail just goes face palm.
You know why? You know why Gail just facepalm? Because she's probably heard that same line before. Gail, this is how I see it. And then she's like, oh.
Here we go.
Okay.
Okay. If you've ever played a first-person video game,
Okay.
and then you see what's right here,
Yes.
well, just like you normally would.
Yep.
If you played one of those like Zelda, or kind of, it was a third-person video game where you see everything from up above, and you can see all the town. You can see people here, people here. The guy here, he can't see this guy, but you can.
Yes.
You know, that's kind of, to me, how I see that. I mean, in my mind, I can see who's in front of me. I can see this, but God's up here looking down and say, I see you this in this moment in time, but I see this one too, and I saw that one, and being way beyond that, I see this. And if you wouldn't think this was so bad if we saw what was here.
That's actually a really good way to explain it. Yeah, like a first person game. It's you and just what you can see, but then it's almost like then a drone shot where it goes way up, and it, you know, then you can see everything. You can see what's happening on the other side of those trees that in the first person place you can't see, but now you can see, and you can see over there and this and that,
Mm-hmm.
and the bridge and the river and all, and you can see everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's actually really good. That's a good way to look at it. So, all right, keep going.
Good job.
All right. Verse 15. Then Hushai said to Zadok and Abiathar the priests, "This is what Ahithophel counseled Absalom and the elders of Israel, and this is what I have counseled. Now therefore send quickly and tell David, saying, do not spend the night at the fords of the wilderness, but by all means cross over, or else the king and all the people who are with him will be destroyed." So it's looked like they're going to take Hushai's advice, but Hushai didn't rest on that. Instead, he told them, send word to David to get across the river, just in case he doesn't. If he changes his mind and sends people, David needs to not be standing there with his back against the river.
So there's other people that are there in the periphery of Absalom that are still loyal to David, including these priests that are carrying these messages.
Yep.
So it's those people who've kind of been swept up in all of this, and they can't, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
and so Hushai is using them now as messengers. You know, they're, hey, go tell David.
Yeah. They're the ones that they're bringing the ark and going with David, and David sent them back. But I mean, imagine you're living there in Jerusalem, and you know, some people would have known this was coming, but for the vast majority of them, in a day, David's gone and his son's sitting on the throne, and you got to decide, what do I do here? Do I just bow to him? Do I, is David coming back? I mean, this is a situation.
Yeah, and apparently this is taking place in Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the next line, it says, Jonathan and Himeaz were staying at En Rogel.
Yeah.
It sounds like a Mexican restaurant to me.
There you
I
go.
don't know. I'm hungry for tacos.
See?
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Yourself. That's all good. Oh, it's probably a dry cistern. That's what it was in here. Yeah.
It's yes, it's they were hiding there.
Yeah.
And it is actually a place, according to scripture, located not far from Jerusalem, actually.
Yeah.
So
But they still could have had tacos.
they could have easily. Well, you know, some flatbread.
Yeah.
Like they had
Little
the
lamb.
Passover. Right.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah. So
Maybe more like a Euro, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. It's a Mediterranean
A
taco.
Middle Eastern taco.
Yeah.
Okay. Now
All
that
right.
we've cleared that up, it's
Okay.
probably a question on the
Probably.
minds of a lot of people watching.
Hey, Carol.
So, all right.
All right. Yeah, no, they were staying at Enrogel, and a maidservant would go and tell them, and they would go and tell King David, for they could not be seen entering the city. But a lad did see them and told Absalom. So the two of them departed quickly and came to the house of a man in Bahurim who had a well in his courtyard, and they went down into it. And the woman took a covering and spread it over the well's mouth and scattered grain on it so that nothing was known. Then Absalom's servants came, and they came to the woman at the house and said, "Where are Ahimaaz and Jonathan?" And the woman said to them, "They've crossed the brook of water." And when they searched for them, they could not find them, and they returned to Jerusalem.
So, the well that they're talking about here, or the dry cistern, was probably flushed to the ground. If this was a cistern,
Is that like a
especially,
brethren?
yes, brethren and cistern.
Cistern.
A cistern is simply something, a basin to catch water, rainwater is what it's for. So this would have been something that was carved out like a well, but it probably was empty because it was only full when it rained, and then the water would run into it and fill it. So what she did was they crawled into it. She throws a blanket over it on the ground and then just covers that whole thing with grain. So it looks like she's out there separating grain or working with the crops, and they didn't even notice. Didn't even notice it. It's perfect.
Yeah. So they hid the people and said, "Oh no, they crossed the river.
Yeah, they're gone. They're
Over
gone.
there."
Yeah.
So they went on looking, didn't find them.
It's funny. I think of the spies that went to Jericho.
Yeah.
And then she hid them. Rahab hides them.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it's pretty good. Okay, keep going.
21. It came about after they had departed that they came up out of the well and went and told King David. And they said to David, "Arise and cross over the water quickly, for thus Ahithophel has counseled against you." Then David and all the people who were with him arose and crossed the Jordan. And by dawn, not even one remained who had not crossed the Jordan. So you got all these people who are, I mean, there's some warriors there, but there's all these other people in this entourage who are, they're not used to a hard day's travel.
No.
And David they had gone about 20 miles that day, which they didn't have a car. And now I got an idea. Let's cross the Jordan River in the dark.
Yeah. They're moving from east to west. They're moving from Jerusalem to the west across the Jordan into, the promised land area on that side of the Jordan River. Is where they're headed, toward the Mediterranean Sea, that direction.
Well, they'd be going,
Wouldn't they?
no, be coming from Jerusalem away. So they're going out back.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah,
so
yes, I'm sorry. The exact opposite.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. Yes, I'm sorry. Yep.
Yeah, so they're
Yes.
going to cross the Jordan going out of the promised land. They're going,
Correct.
Yeah.
Back toward the wilderness.
yeah, because they're going to end up, what's the name of that town where Ishbosheth ruled?
Correct.
That's where they're going to end up.
They
Yeah.
probably crossed over just north of the Dead Sea.
Yeah. Yeah. The expectation is actually that they probably crossed right exactly where Joshua crossed.
Yeah. Well, that probably would have been a spot where crossings happen quite a bit. That may have even become a regularly traveled pathway there.
Yeah.
But yes, I'm sorry. They were actually going west to east that way.
Yeah. So yeah, to cross that river in the dark, because it's not like they had streetlights.
No.
Was going to be a job too. Trying to get all their stuff across there, especially after having traveled 20 miles. So it says by dawn they had all crossed the river.
Which gives them safety, and it also makes it more difficult now for Absalom to come after them.
Yeah.
Because if he's going to come, he's got to take an entire army across here. It's going to be difficult to cross, and David's going to know well in advance they're coming.
Mhm.
So,
Yep. Yeah. David's just got to leave somebody behind,
yep.
and they can see him. And by the time they get across the river, David will have plenty of warning.
All right.
Okay. 23. And it came about after they had departed that they came up out of the well. No, that's not where. That's 21. And now when Ahithophel saw that his counsel was not followed, he saddled his donkey and arose and went to his home, to his city, and set his house in order, and strangled himself or hung himself. Thus he died and was buried in the grave of his father. Interesting that the member of the inner council of the anointed one of Israel that betrayed him hung himself afterward.
Isn't that something? Does that sound like someone else who betrayed their king?
Kind of like
Sounds
the
like
Judas guy.
Like Judas.
Yeah.
Yes. So here was Ahithophel, who was David's advisor, who betrays David and then can't handle it emotionally, mentally. He breaks down. He goes and hangs himself.
Yeah.
Because of what he's done.
It seems plausible that Ahithophel looks at this situation and says, if Absalom dawdles and doesn't get this done, he's going to lose and David's coming back.
And then I'm going to be dead.
And if David's coming back, I might as well be dead now
Yeah.
as to be dead then.
Yeah, I know David, and I'm not going to have any room in his court after this.
Yeah. And even if by some chance Absalom did win, he's already disregarded his counsel. So
Yeah.
he's not put himself in a good place.
So that takes us to 24.
Oh. Then David came to Manahaim. That's the name that I was trying to think of here.
Manahaim.
Yeah. And Absalom crossed the Jordan, he and all the men of Israel with him. Absalom set Amasa over the army in place of Joab. Now Amasa was the son of a man whose name was Ithra, the Israelite, who went in to Abigail, the daughter of Nahash, sister of Zeruiah, Joab's mother. That's all to say that Amasa, he was David's nephew. Your mother's sister's brother's uncle.
I
He was his
could have
nephew.
read all that.
Yeah. It makes it easier. And Israel and Absalom camped in the land of Gilead. Now when David had come to Mahanaim, Shobi, the son of Nahash, from Rabbah, the sons of Ammon.
This is okay.
Here's your names, your baby names.
Put these right. Get out a little extra piece of paper. Start writing down some of these names because they're good ones.
Shobi.
What's
Kobe? That's a name. Shobi. I mean,
growing up, my family wasn't super close. So, then I married Mickey, and her family is expansive because there's so many people in her family that aren't actually biologically in her family. They're just like, sure, that's like my uncle so-and-so. He's not really my uncle. We're just really good friends, but we call him uncle. So our family's just like ginormous, right? And it's all these names. And you remember Aunt so-and-so and uncle, and then their nephew. And I'm like, I completely lose track. And it's like, if you say so, right? I can't even track it. I don't even try. It's like, okay, that's where we're going. Fine. Well, that's good. We'll just go there.
Okay.
And all these names, that's how I feel. You're reading all these names and it's just like, I'm tuning out. I just tuned out. I don't know what, Sure. So just what was it again? It's whose nephew?
Yeah. No,
quicker.
Amasa was David's nephew.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. See, wasn't that easier?
Just say
Wasn't that easier?
Well, they did say that.
All right.
I'm just laughing at your name, so I'm not paying attention. to what it's
I'm
supposed
loving
to
the
be.
names.
Okay. So verse 27.
Okay.
Now when David had come to Mahanaim, Shobi, the son of Nahash, from Rabbah, the sons of Ammon, Machir, the sons of Amiel, from Lodebar, Barzillai, the Gileadite, from Rogelim.
Barzillai. It sounds like
Gileadite.
it sounds like someone that would fight Godzilla. Kinda.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
Kind of. It's like the lizard.
I'm tired. I've had too much coffee. Go ahead.
Okay. Brought beds, basins, pottery, wheat, barley, flour, parched grain, beans, lentils, parched seeds, honey, curds, sheep, and cheese of the herd for David, and for the people who are with him to eat. For they said, the people are hungry and weary and thirsty in the wilderness.
So they had a lot of really good people here that came and helped to feed all of these people.
Mhm.
And again, a lot of these people, most of these people, aren't an army, aren't soldiers. They're the population of the city that fled with David.
Yeah.
These are, again, refugees, as it were.
Mhm.
And so they're taking care of them, feeding them, and God is providing for them so that they don't get weary, they don't get weak. Again, they're
Mhm.
on the run, they're traveling, they've got to move. Absalom's wants to kill them, right?
Yeah.
Wants to kill David, and again, God is making it so that they have places to hide. They've got food to eat. Their strength is kept up. They can rest. It's awesome.
Mhm.
He is providing them, making sure they have everything they need.
Yeah. And the irony here is he's in Mahanaim, which is where Ishbosheth was king when David had the short war with
Yes.
Ishbosheth.
Yes.
So the people that supported Ishbosheth, the enemy of David, are now feeding David while the people of Judah are
now
backing his son,
Backing Absalom.
the
Yeah.
rebel.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
People are fickle. Imagine that.
I don't. Yeah.
Never changes.
Nope.
We don't see any, of that going on in politics
No.
today.
Not at all.
I mean, literally today. Anyway. So
Precisely.
yes.
All right, chapter 18. Then David numbered the people who were with him and set over them commanders of thousands and commanders of hundreds. And David set the people out, 1/3 under the command of Joab, 1/3 under the command of Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, Joab's brother, and 1/3 under the command of Ittai the Gittite. And the king said to the people, I myself will surely go out with you. But the people said, you shall not go out, for if we indeed flee, they will not care about us. Even if half of us die, they will not care about us. But you are worth 10,000 of us. Therefore, now it's better that you be ready to help us from the city. So the king said to them, whatever seems best to you, I will do. And the king stood beside the gate, and all the people went out by the hundreds and the thousands. So obviously, David got some reinforcements once he got there. He's got some people here.
Yep.
But what he does is, it says he sets up commanders over thousands, commanders over hundreds. So he's got like groups of hundreds, and then 10 hundreds has a commander. That's 1,000. And all those together have 3 commanders that answer to David.
There's structure. And again,
Yep.
this is his skill set.
Mm-hmm.
He has very quickly set up a structured, functioning military
Mhm.
very quickly. And it's functional, and he can get information very quickly because it only has to go to a few people, which then is disseminated to thousands of soldiers and troops. It's excellent. It's
Mhm.
amazing, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yep. And so he gets them ready to go, gets them set up. And this is kind of telling for where David is and stuff. He actually listens to the advice of his men when they say, David, if they kill you, we're done. You need to stay here.
yeah. Well, and again, you're worth 10,000 of us. We read about David and, we say, oh, he was a great guy. But I mean, in the time period when he lived, he was probably one of the most famous people on the planet at the time.
Yeah.
He was a big deal. I love the line, the king answered, I'll do whatever seems best to you. He decides to stay back. And it's almost like it's that heart of him who he just is going to do what's best for the people. He's going to put the people first. He's willing to go out and put himself on the line for them.
Yeah.
And they're like, don't, because we might need you later. And you are the one with everything, you got the whole thing going on where you could do good things for us and help us.
Yeah. Well, without a king,
Yeah.
then they're done. But
So-
David was never a lead from behind kind of guy. So
No battle is where he was at home.
Yeah.
His
men followed him because they followed him.
Yep. Yep. He felt very comfortable out on a battlefield killing people. So he's not afraid of that. But he, again, it's the people
Mhm.
that he needs to protect. And that's the David that we fell in love with, was
Yeah.
the guy who his only concern was, I am the shepherd of God's people. I got to take care of them.
Mhm.
And then he had this Saul thing that happened for a while. And
Yeah.
then so now he's paying the price for those things, but the old David's there.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, okay.
All right. Verse 5, the king charged Joab and Abishai and Ittai Ittai, remember, was the guy who pledged himself to David because David told him he should just go home. And
Ittai the Gittite.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the name of my new band.
nice.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Deal gently for my sake with the young man Absalom. And all the people heard when the king charged all the commanders concerning Absalom. Then the people went out into the field against Israel, and the battle took place in the forest of Ephraim. The people of Israel were defeated there before the servants of David, and the slaughter there that day was great, 20,000 men. For the battle there was spread over the whole countryside, and the forest devoured more people that day than the sword devoured.
So, this was a battle that David wins,
Mm-hmm.
and it was in the forest.
Yeah, David was greatly outnumbered here still, even though he got some reinforcements. So what does he do? He doesn't say, hey, let's line up in the field and kill each other. He's like, okay, you want to come? You want to come for me? You're going to come and get me in here where I'm ready for you. And you can't just line up and kill me. The expertise of my men is going to make a difference in here.
It was guerrilla warfare in the
Exactly.
forest. They were hiding behind the trees or whatever, had traps and everything. So just a few guys were killing 100 guys.
And that's how David
Yeah.
won this battle.
Yes.
Because he had time to get ready. He chose the battleground.
This is what he does.
Yeah.
And this is what Hushai said. He said, David will make a plan and he'll wipe you guys out. And then everyone's going to hear how your first battle with David, Absalom, you lost all these men. And then all your guys are going to lose heart.
Mm-hmm. That's
And
exactly what
Hushai
happened.
helps David achieve that goal.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yep. So absolutely, he did get all the men, but he still got more than he bargained for.
And I love how it words it that the where is it that the forest consumed more than the where is
Then
it?
the sword. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that he had him in the woods and stuff. Yeah, it's just.
Yeah. So that's pretty good.
Verse 9. Now Absalom happened to meet the servants of David, for Absalom was riding on his mule. And the mule went under the thick branches of a great oak, and his head caught fast in the oak, so that he was left hanging between heaven and earth, while the mule that was under him kept going. All that flaxen hair.
Yeah, it talked about it. He was very, very Fabio-ish, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He
Well,
was on
guess
the
what?
he was on the cover of every Barbara Cartland novel at the time.
Yeah.
And and his beautiful hair got caught in the branches,
Yeah.
right?
So what happens is he had to let go of the horse, his mule, and grab the branch probably. And there he is, hanging from the branch, can't get his hair and stuff.
Yeah, and the donkey keeps going, and he's left literally hanging from a tree.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Suspended
yeah,
between men and earth,
Yeah.
between heaven and earth. And I can't remember where it was at because I had it in my notes, but I didn't print the notes for this chapter. But if you go back to Deuteronomy, it says, I can't remember the exact reference, but it says, it talks about the things that Absalom had done, the adultery, the disobedience to his father, the things that he had done were worthy of a death sentence. And it also talks about hanging that man from a tree, and it says, cursed is everyone who hangs from a tree. Here we are. David didn't have the guts to do what needed to be done for Absalom when he killed his brother. Well, here Absalom gets his sentence.
who else was cursed and hung from a tree? Again, Judas.
Yeah.
A betrayer.
Mm-hmm.
That seems to be a theme.
Yeah, true.
So again, this is, a few lines, but he's riding through the forest. His head gets stuck in the branches, and it's pulling him back off the donkey, and the donkey keeps going, and he's hanging there. And here's this mighty king, right?
Yeah.
Kicking and yelling, "Help! Hey!" Hanging from this tree branch with his hair all knotted up in there, and he's stuck. He can't get down. That would have been crazy.
Yeah, well, he lost his guys.
Yeah,
They're all scattered. It's a rout. So here he is, nobody to help him get him down out of the tree.
He was left hanging in midair while the mule he was on kept riding, kept going on.
Mm-hmm.
So, verse 10, what do you got?
I was just going.
That
consult my
Deuteronomy
notes
thing?
because I know it's in there some. Deuteronomy 21:23.
Okay.
That's where it is. Yeah. And also the wording used by the man is significant. The Torah only uses this verb translated hanging one time, and that's in Deuteronomy 21:23 where it says that. So he doesn't just say, hey, he's hanging from a tree, but he says specifically this verb,
That
he's
has
hanging
meaning.
from a tree. Okay, verse 11, whoever that is. There you go. Then Joab said to the man who had told him, verse 10, when a certain man saw it, he told Joab and said, behold, I saw Absalom hanging in an oak. And then Joab said to the man who had told him, now behold, you saw him. Why then did you not strike him there to the ground? And I would have given you 10 pieces of silver and a belt. So it seems like even though David said, hey, spare Absalom, Joab had offered a reward for Absalom's death.
10 shekels of silver and a warrior's belt. It's according to this, it would be commensurate to almost a military promotion. That silver belt, I'll give you money and give you rank.
Yep.
This would have been good.
Mm-hmm.
Josephus also in Antiquities of the Jews mentions this incident with Absalom being stuck in the branches as well. So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So keep going.
12,
Sees him hanging from the tree.
The man said to Joab, even if I should receive 1,000 pieces of silver in my hand, I would not put out my hand against the king's son. For in our hearing, the king charged you and Abishai and Ittai, saying, protect for me the young man Absalom. Otherwise, if I had dealt treacherously against his life, and there's nothing hidden from the king, then you yourself would have stood aloof. Then Joab said, I will not waste time here with you. So he took 3 spears in his hand and thrust them through the heart of Absalom while he was yet alive in the midst of the oak. And 10 young men who carried Joab's armor gathered around him and struck Absalom and killed him.
David it's his son, Absalom, but he is giving his son the same grace that he gave Saul.
He is.
When he said, I understand this is a king that's crazy and is trying to kill me. And that's literally what Saul was doing too.
Yep.
And on all those occasions, he said, but don't kill him. God will deal with this in his way. Don't bring him back alive, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And so then what happens?
Joab says, look, his judgment's been clouded with Absalom all the way through. I know what he said, but I know it needs to be done. And he killed him.
Yeah.
Despite what David said.
Yeah.
It's like, this is the best thing. This is what's best for David. I'm just going to do it for him, even though this isn't what he's asking me to do.
Yeah.
He kind of took the initiative in his own hand, which you may or may not think is a good thing, but don't forget that he's a soldier under command and he's been given orders that he just ignored.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Joab said, I'm not going to wait like this for you. So he took 3 javelins in his hand and plunged them into Absalom's heart while Absalom was still alive, hanging from the oak tree.
Mm-hmm.
Absalom couldn't get away.
No.
There's nowhere he could go. He's completely defenseless.
Yeah, just hanging there.
Right?
It's like a
and here's
pinata.
these guys on their horses and on the ground around him. Should we kill him? Shouldn't we kill him? Should we kill him? Shouldn't we kill him? And he's hanging there in the middle of all of this, right?
Yeah.
And then he's finally like, you know what? Give me 3 javelins. And it's like, whoa, again, the Hollywood couldn't make a movie this good.
No.
Right? So
yeah, it's kind of crazy. You sit there and watch it and wait and see. And so 16, then Joab blew the trumpet and the people returned from pursuing Israel, for Joab restrained the people. They took Absalom and cast him into a deep pit in the forest and erected over him a very great heap of stones. And all Israel fled, each to his own tent. Now Absalom in his lifetime had taken and set up for himself a pillar, which is in the king's valley, for he said, I have no son to preserve my name. So he named the pillar after his own name and called it it is called Absalom's monument to this day. It's kind of funny that Absalom erected this monument to himself, but the only monument that the people leave him is a pile of stones that's over his dead body, which just so happens to be outside the promised land.
Yeah. The pile of stones, we've talked about that a million times. I mean, here they cover his body with stones rather than a proper burial. I
Mhm.
mean, it's just quicker to dump rocks on him. It's almost a sign of disrespect.
Yeah.
But again, piles of stones in Hebrew tradition are also a place where they tell a story. What happened? They're markers
Yeah.
for something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just curious.
Yeah.
So, keep
All right,
going.
So verse 19. Then Ahimaaz, the son of Zadok, said, "Please let me run and bring the king news that the Lord has freed him from the hand of his enemies." But Joab said to him, "You're not the man to carry the news this day, but you shall carry news another day. However, you shall carry no news today because the king's son is dead." A little subtlety what's going. Remember, Ahimaaz is the guy who carried the message to tell David, "Hey, get across the river."
Right.
So he's a trusted messenger.
Wasn't he a priest?
He's the son of Abiathar the priest.
Okay.
But Joab is thinking back and saying, okay, when the guy came and brought news that Saul was dead, David killed him. And when the guy came and
Yes.
brought news that Ishbosheth was dead, David killed him.
Killed him.
Ahimaaz,
And both of these guys were liars.
well, they were. It wasn't exactly the same situation.
No,
But Joab's thinking, Ahimaaz, I don't think you're the guy to carry this message. I'd like to see you when I get there.
you carry this message. I'll see you, but you'll be dead.
Yeah,
I'll see your corpse when I get there.
we're gonna send somebody else.
Yeah.
That's really
And
nice.
we're going to send somebody else.
Yeah.
We're going to send a guy in a red shirt from Star Trek. We're going to send an expendable crewman, and then you'll be alive at the end. It's kind of what he's doing, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So we're gonna send somebody else. So draw straws here, guys. And then Joab said to the Cushite, Go tell the king what you have seen." So the Cushite bowed to Joab and ran. Now that was probably a servant or something. Cush was Ethiopia.
I love that. The Cushite bowed down before Joab and ran off. Okay, the question is, if you don't know what's coming, the question is, did he run to David or just run off into the hills? Like,
Just
no
run
way,
out.
no way am
I'm
I
out of here.
right? Heading for the hills. So let's see what happens.
Oh, he probably didn't know what was at stake here. So he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll tell him." Sure. Okay. No, I lost my place. Oh, the Cushite. There we go.
But
And Joab
Joab-
said, "Why would? But whatever happens, okay, go tell the king what you have seen." So the Cushite bowed to Joab and ran. 22. Now Ahimaaz, the son of Zadok, said once more to Joab, "But whatever happens, please let me also run after the Cushite." And Joab said, "Why would you run, my son, since you will have no reward for going? But whatever happens," he said, "I will run." So he said to him, "Run." Then Ahimaaz ran by the way of the plain and passed up the Cushite.
He wanted to
So-
be there. He wanted to be a part of telling this tale.
Yeah.
Badly. He wanted to be involved. And apparently he's a little more fit and a little slimmer or something.
Well, it says he ran by way of the plain, where the Cushite, being less familiar with, he
might have
consulted
had
his
some hill
GPS,
country, yes.
and he said, "This route is a little bit longer, but it says I'll get there faster."
Right. One of them took the county roads, one of them took the highway.
Yeah, he went up and over there. He went the shortest route, but
Yes.
it wasn't the fastest.
Yeah. So
where
he gets ahead of him.
Yep.
Which makes him
the first.
the guy in the red shirt.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. See, this is crazy town. Go ahead.
It is. I mean, Okay, 24. Now David was sitting between the two gates, and the watchman went up to the roof of the gate by the wall, and he raised his eyes and looked, and behold, a man running by himself. The watchman called and told the king, and the king said, "If he is by himself, there's good news in his mouth." And he came nearer and nearer, and then the watchman saw another man running. And the watchman called to the gatekeeper and said, "Behold, another man running by himself." And the king said, "This one is also bringing good news." And the watchman said, "I think the running of the first one is like the running of Ahimaaz, the son of Zadok." And the king said, "This is a good man, and he comes with good news."
Yeah, they were hopeful.
Yeah. You remember at all anywhere in Samuel a dad sitting by the gate while there's a battle going on, just waiting for news?
Was that
Eli
Yes.
and Ebenezer when both of his sons were
sons
killed
were-
and the ark was lost, he sat at the gate just waiting for news. And here's David
Doing the same.
doing the
thing.
same thing, and he will receive the same news that Eli received.
Well, and what happened to Eli?
He fell over
He
and
fell
died.
over and died.
Yeah,
He fell off the rock he was sitting on and he died.
yeah, broke his neck and died. Yeah, David is sitting in this very same place that Eli sat after all this time because he let his sons get away like Eli
Well,
did.
and he's going to get the same news that Eli had.
He did.
Your son's dead.
Exactly.
So keep going.
Oh, yeah, I'll figure out where it was. Oh, yeah, I just turned the page. Here we go.
He's a good man.
28. Ahimaaz called and said to the king, "All is well." And he prostrated himself before the king with his face to the ground. And he said, "Blessed is the Lord your God, who's delivered up the men who lifted their hands against my lord the king." The king said, "Is it well with the young man Absalom?" And Ahimaaz answered, "When Joab sent the king's servant and your servant, I saw a great tumult, but I did not know what it was." Then the king said, "Turn aside and stand here." So he turned aside and stood still. Ahimaaz, his nerve kind of left him.
He kind of told part of the story. He said, there was some crazy stuff happening in the woods. I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
And then he says, step aside. There's another runner coming in.
Yeah. And Ahimaaz may not have seen exactly what happened, but Joab said, "You're not the one to take this news because the king's son is dead."
Yeah.
So he knew
Yeah.
Absalom was dead.
Yes,
He may
yes.
not have known exactly what happened.
No,
but
so you're right. So he gets there, he's tired, he's maybe had a little time to think about it. Now he's standing before the king and he's looking at him and he feels the mood of the room. It's like, David's expecting good news. I don't have good news. I'm gonna kind of play stupid.
yeah, I'm going to skirt the issue here
Yeah.
just a little bit. Yeah,
Yep.
no doubt. So yeah, he stopped short of delivering the whole message.
And then what happens?
Verse 31, "Behold, the Cushite arrived, and the Cushite said, 'Let my lord the king receive good news, for the Lord has freed you this day from the hand of all those who rose up against you.'"
Oh man. So he kicks it off with, I got some great news
Yep.
for you, king.
Good news.
Thinking
good news.
that his news is the enemy's dead.
Yeah.
That's his son though.
Yeah.
So go.
Then king said to the Cushite in verse 32, "Is it well with the young man Absalom?" And the Cushite answered, "Let the enemies of my lord the king and all who rise up against you for evil be as that young man."
Not
No,
quite the
David,
way you
he's
said
he's
it.
not alive.
No.
Yeah, not so much. The king was deeply moved and went up to the chamber over the gate and wept. And thus he said as he walked, "Oh, my son Absalom, my son Absalom, would I had died instead of you. Oh, Absalom, my son, my son."
Yep. So now David has been told that his son is dead. So over the course of time, he's lost 3 so far.
It's 4
Four?
ultimately.
3 so far,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. if you
Bathsheba,
count, yeah,
and
then
then Absalom kills his brother,
Amnon and
and
then
then
Absalom.
Absalom.
Yeah,
So far he's
yeah, and it's ironic because he says when Nathan tells him about his parable, David says, "Well, he should repay that fourfold," which is exactly what David
which
does.
is what he does. Yep. All right. That takes us to chapter 19.
It does.
All right. Well, let's close this up. We're at our time. So we have exactly 60 seconds, Gary. Okay, close us with prayer.
Okay. God, again, thank you for your word, for a chance to dig in it, God, and just see you work, see the things that you did. And God, knowing that as they trusted you, as you came through when you made promises in those days, you do today, that we can trust you today, God. And that if we don't see tomorrow, don't see how this could possibly work out, God, help us just to trust you, to walk, to listen, to be obedient, Lord, and just see what you have for us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. All right. Saturday, the work day will be in the morning, not in the afternoon, because it's supposed to be like 90 degrees and we don't want to kill anybody outside. So we're going to do our work day before it gets too hot outside. Saturday night, do you remember what the menu was for Saturday night?
I think
Something
chicken. I
Okay.
think, yeah.
Chicken and sides. And it won't be a
Chicken
sermon. We're going to
inside?
have a movie night. Chicken on the end. Chicken's awesome. That's some of God's best work. Chicken.
Yeah,
Loving it.
truth.
And we're going to do a movie night Saturday night. I will try to find something good, something fun,
Edificational.
I don't know. Maybe just something fun and relaxing. Our sermons have been pretty
Spot on.
pretty spot on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what Pastor comes up with for a movie for Saturday night. Okay, that'll be it. So again, work day in the morning on Saturday. Service in the sanctuary starts at 6. And though we won't be online Saturday night either.
Oh no, we won't. Yeah.
There will be no live stream Saturday because we'll be showing a movie, and that's called copyright infringement, and they won't let us do that.
Apparently it's a thing.
So if you want to see the movie, you got to be in a seat. Otherwise, here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Unless I tell you what the movie is and you watch it at home,
I suppose.
but I'm not gonna. So, all right, we're over an
Okay,
hour,
well,
Gary.
bye, Bob.
Over an hour. So, yeah, Sheldon Flooring, Bob.
I know that guy.
I love you, Bob. Hey, we saw your
buddy.
mom last week.
Yeah, it was
about-
awesome.
Yes, it was.
It's good to see
She
you.
looked amazing.
She did.
Yes. Bob, you look amazing.
Yeah.
Too.
You know I
Yes.
can't see you still. You know.
Bob, we need guys in the Northwoods to do flooring if you want to come home.
Well, you know.
So, all right,
Probably
that's
need
it.
them out there. Okay.
We prayed to close. So 3, 2, 1. Good night.